There are 5 tyre brands sold in this country right now that almost every driver walks straight past on the price list, dismisses as cheap rubbish, and never thinks about again. And here is the part nobody tells you. Several of them are built in the same factories, on the same machines, using the same rubber compounds as the premium tyres, sitting 2 shelves up that cost you nearly double. By the end of this video, you will know exactly which 5 brands those are, why the people fitting your tyres quietly run them on their own cars, and the one number on the sidewall that tells you in 4 seconds whether a so-called budget tyre is a goldmine or a death trap. Because this is the thing. Most British drivers believe they are buying safety when they pay premium prices. A lot of the time they are buying a logo. Before we dive in, comment where you're watching from and click subscribe. Here is the first thing you need to understand. Buying tyres in the UK is not the same calculation as buying them somewhere dry and warm. For roughly half the year you're driving on a wet road. The single most important thing a tyre does for you in this country is stop the car in the rain. And the gap between the best and the worst tyre on that one measurement is enormous. In independent European testing, the difference in wet stopping distance between the best tyre and the worst tyre in a single test has been measured at 17 metres. 17 metres is the difference between stopping behind the car in front and stopping inside the back of it. So wet grip is not a luxury here. It is the whole game. The second thing is price. Britain pays more for almost everything on 4 wheels than our neighbours do, and tyres are no exception once you add fitting, balancing, valves and disposal on top of the headline figure. The third thing is the fitting network itself. The person quoting you has a price list, and the premium brands carry the biggest margin and the biggest marketing budgets, so they are the names you hear first. The brands in this video are rarely the first thing anyone offers you. You usually have to ask. The fourth thing is that our climate is brutal on rubber in a way the showroom never mentions. Damp, salt on winter roads, and the cold, then warm cycling of a British year all-age tyre, and a tyre that sits cracking on a low-mileage car can become unsafe long before the tread runs out. That means buying clever on price is not about grabbing the cheapest thing on the wall. It is about getting genuine engineering for less so the rubber actually survives the years you own it. And the fifth thing is the EU tyre label, the little sticker that grades wet grip from A to E and rolling resistance from A to E. That label is a legal document. It does not care what the badge costs, it does not care what you paid, and it cannot be bought by a marketing department. And that is exactly why the industry would rather you looked at the brand than the rating. I want to be transparent about how this list was built because a lot of the tyre rankings you see online are built on nothing but affiliate links and guesswork. This is based on 4 things. First, independent wet and dry braking data from the major published tyre tests, the kind run by Auto Express here in the UK, and by Auto Build and the ADAC motoring organisation in Europe, where every tyre is bought anonymously off the open market so no manufacturer can hand over a cherry-picked sample. Second, the EU tyre label ratings, which are a legal safety grade, not a marketing claim. Third, the question of who actually owns and manufactures each brand, because that tells you whose engineering and whose factories you're really buying into. And fourth, real-world conversations with independent fitters, the people who mount thousands of these tyres a year, and see which ones come back cracked at 3 years old and which ones wear evenly to the legal limit. A couple of the premium marketing departments would probably like to have this video taken down. That is usually how you know it is accurate. To understand why these 5 brands are such bargains, you have to understand what happened to the tyre industry over the last 40 years. In the 1970s and 80s, there were dozens of genuinely independent tyre makers, each with their own factories, their own engineers, their own reputation to defend. Then 2 things happened at the same time and they changed everything. The first was consolidation. A handful of giants, Michelin, Continental, Goodyear, Bridgestone, Pirelli and the big Asian groups, spent decades buying up the smaller names one by one. The second was the rise of the marketing tier system, where the same parent company learned to sell you the same core technology under 3 different badges at 3 different prices. So today, what looks like a shelf full of competing brands is often 4 or 5 corporations wearing a dozen different hats. Now the channel you might expect would tell you this is a scam, that they are all the same tyre sold to you 3 times, and at the bottom of the market that cynicism is earned. But there is a flip side that nobody talks about, and it is the entire point of this video. When a premium giant owns a budget brand, that budget brand gets access to the parent company's compounds, its factories, its test data, and its research. The badge on the sidewall changes. The engineering underneath often does not. You're not always being robbed by the cheaper option. Sometimes you are being robbed by the dearer one. Let me show you what that actually means on a tyre. Here is the mechanism. A tyre is a rubber compound, a steel and fabric casing, and a tread pattern. The expensive part to develop is the compound, the secret recipe of polymers and silica that decides how well the tyre grips a wet road and how long it lasts. Developing a new compound costs a fortune, which is exactly why a parent company shares it across the brands it owns. So a tyre wearing a budget badge can roll out of the same plant, carrying a version of the same silica compound, and post an A rating for wet grip on its EU label, while costing you 30 or 40% less than the premium tyre it is related to. The label proves it. And there is a second tell most people never check. Several of these so-called budget brands are fitted to brand new cars straight from the factory as original equipment. Think about what that means. A car maker will not bolt a dangerous tyre to a new vehicle it has to warranty, so when a value brand is chosen as factory fitment, it has already passed engineering standards far stricter than anything on the showroom price list. The badge looks cheap. The approval behind it is not. That is the loophole the badge tax depends on you ignoring. Before I give you the 5, I have to warn you about the trap, because there is a wrong way to be cheap, and it can kill you. There is a category of ultra-budget tyre, mostly unbranded imports and a handful of names you have never heard of, that is genuinely dangerous. These are the ones that earn an E rating for wet grip on the label. In testing, a full set of the worst of these can add those extra meters to your stopping distance in the rain that I mentioned earlier. They are legal to sell and legal to fit, and that is precisely the problem, because legal and safe are not the same word. So this video is not telling you to buy the cheapest thing on the rack. It is telling you that there is a smart middle, a band of brands that cost a fraction of premium but test like premium, and that the industry has trained you to skip right over. Do not confuse the gold mines with the ditch finders. The label tells you which is which. Before I give you the 5 brands, I want to ask you something directly, because your answer matters more than you think. Drop a comment right now and tell me 2 things. What car do you drive, and what tyres are fitted to it as we speak? My guess is a lot of you genuinely do not know, because you left that decision to whoever was behind the counter, and I am also going to guess that a good number of you who do know paid a premium price for a premium badge, and have never once checked the wet grip letter on the label to see whether you actually got premium safety for it. That is not your fault. That is exactly how the badge tax is designed to work. It counts on you trusting the name and never reading the grade. So here they are. 5 cheap brands everyone ignores that are absolute gold mines. Number 1, Debika. This is the one almost nobody in Britain has heard of, and it is the clearest gold mine on the entire list. Debika is a Polish tyre maker that has been owned by Goodyear, one of the original big 3 since the mid-1990s. And here is the detail that should change how you shop forever. The Debika factory does not just make Debika tyres, it manufactures tyres for Goodyear, for Dunlop, and for Fulda inside the same plant. And it has been an original equipment supplier fitting tyres to brand new cars from Ford, Volkswagen, Renault, Vauxhall, and Peugeot. Read that again. The same factory that builds your Goodyears builds Debika's. The catch, and there is always a catch, is that Debika's range is built for sensible everyday driving rather than outright sportiness. So if you have a heavy, fast performance car, you will want something with a higher speed rating. But for a normal family hatchback, or a small SUV doing the school run and the motorway commute, you are buying Goodyear Group engineering with the marketing budget stripped out of the price. The verdict is simple. It is the cheapest way to put a major manufacturer's tyre on your car. Number 2, Kumho. A Korean brand that British drivers still treat with suspicion, the same way they treated Korean cars 20 years ago, right before Hyundai and Kia took over the car park. That suspicion is now completely out of date. In recent independent European testing, Kumho's summer tyres have posted some of the highest wet handling speeds in the entire field, finishing ahead of established premium names, and its winter tyre was rated the outright best value performer in a major test, scoring a very good overall grade. Let me be precise about why that matters for us. Kumho's strength is exactly the thing that keeps you alive on a British road, which is grip and composure in the wet. The honest weakness is that on some models the road noise inside the cabin is a touch higher than the quietest premium tyres, so if total silence is your priority, bear that in mind. But for grip per pound, Kumho is one of the most underrated names you can fit, and the people who actually read the test data have known it for years. Number 3. Uniroyal. This is the rain specialist that the rain-soaked country somehow forgot. Here is the part that makes it a gold mine. Outside North America, the Uniroyal brand is owned and built by Continental, the German engineering giant whose premium tyres routinely win the biggest test in Europe. Uniroyal sits inside that same group, and the brand's entire identity is wet weather performance. Its tyres are literally designed and named around rain, with tread patterns engineered to clear water fast and resist aquaplaning. For a country where you spend half the year on a wet road, a Continental-owned wet weather specialist at a fraction of the Continental price is almost too on the nose. The catch is that Uniroyal is not chasing the last tenth of dry sportiness, so a track day enthusiast will want something sharper. For everybody else getting to work in a downpour on the M6, it is one of the smartest value buys in the country. Number 4. Falcon. This is the brand that enthusiasts already whisper about and the mainstream still ignores. Falcon is owned by Sumitomo Rubber Industries, one of the largest tyre companies in the world, a group whose engineering portfolio now includes Dunlop across Europe. Falcon started life as Sumitomo's performance and motorsport brand, and that DNA shows. In recent independent summer testing, a Falcon summer tyre recorded the single fastest average speed through the wet handling course of the entire test, beating premium tyres costing significantly more, and it scored a perfect mark for cabin comfort at the same time. That is not a budget result. That is a podium result at a mid-range price. The honest caveat is that on outright tread life, Falcon can trail the very longest lasting premiums, so if you cover enormous mileage, do the cost per mile sum. But for grip, handling feel and genuine engineering pedigree per pound, Falcon is a steal that hides in plain sight. Number 5. Vredestein. Probably the most unfairly overlooked name on this list. Vredestein is owned by Apollo Tyres, but the crucial detail is where the tyres are built. Its key European range is manufactured in the Netherlands, in a European factory to European standards, with styling and engineering input that has won design awards. In independent European testing, its tyres have repeatedly earned good safety ratings, and its all-season range in particular is regularly held up as one of the best compromises you can buy for the British climate, where a single tyre that copes with cold, wet and the occasional snap of snow saves you owning 2 sets. The catch is availability. Vredestein is not stocked everywhere, so you may have to order it in rather than grab it off the wall. But if you want one tyre that handles a British year without swapping seasonally, it is a quietly brilliant choice that almost nobody puts on their shortlist. The fact that you have to ask for it is half the reason it is still such good value. So there they are. Now let me give you the rules that turn this into money in your pocket, and I want you to write these down. Rule 1. Read the wet grip letter on the EU label before you read the badge. Wet grip is graded A to E, and in this country it is the single most important number for your safety. Never knowingly fit anything below a B. That one habit protects you from the genuine ditch finders and matters more than any logo. Rule 2. Before you accept a quote, ask the fitter who actually owns and makes the brand they are offering you. Then ask what else is on the rack with the same wet grip rating for less. The 5 names in this video are your starting list. Rule 3. Stop comparing the sticker price and start comparing the cost per mile. A tyre that costs a little more but lasts longer and grips better can be cheaper over its life and safer every single day you own it. Read the label, ask the question, do the maths. Let me show you that maths, because this is where the badge tax becomes real money. Say you buy a premium set of 4 for the common UK size, somewhere around £400 to £460 fitted. Now take one of these Goldmines with an identical A rating for wet grip on the label. A set of 4 fitted lands you closer to £280 to £340. That is well over £100 saved on a single set for the same legal safety grade on the road. Now run it the way the fitters do as cost per mile. A premium tyre might last you 30 to 40,000 miles, and so will a good mid-range Goldmine that shares its compound. Divide the price by the miles, and the gap barely moves on longevity. But the Goldmine started £100 cheaper, so every single mile you drive on it costs you less while delivering the same wet grip letter. Do that across the life of a car, across 2 or 3 sets of tyres, and you are looking at £300 to £400 kept in your account, with no measurable loss in the one thing that actually stops you in the rain. and that is the conservative version. If your premium set was one of the dearer performance tyres, the saving doubles. The premium tyre is not a scam. But paying premium money without ever checking whether you got premium safety is how the badge tax quietly drains your bank account for years, one set at a time, while you congratulate yourself for not cutting corners. Here is the bottom line. The 5 brands in this video are not cheap because they are bad. They are cheap because they do not spend a fortune telling you they exist. Several of them are owned by, and built alongside, the exact premium names you already trust. The wet grip rating on the label is the proof. Sitting in plain sight on a sticker the industry hopes you ignore in favour of a logo it spent millions making you recognise. You were never ripped off because you bought the wrong tyre. You were ripped off because nobody ever told you to turn it over and read the grade. So do not be loyal to a badge. Be loyal to the data on the label. That is the entire difference between a goldmine and a markup. If this video saved you from overpaying on your next set of tyres, subscribe so you never miss one. Share it with anyone who's about to be quoted for 4 new tyres this month. That is all.